setting of this psalm, it's a psalm of David, King David. The setting is an interesting one because he's making this psalm after the fact of having righteous judgment on him in a plague cast on the people of Israel for 3 days. And the reason that was done, God put this 3-day plague on the people, which incidentally killed off 70,000 Israelites, was because David did an improper census. You might think, well, what did he mess up? Did he add 10 to the number? Or, I was a census taker, but he didn't think that my action would kill off 70,000. But it was a serious thing. God gave very definite instructions to Moses when he took his census. And God had to take a census twice. One of the things that he insisted on in the census is that every man over 20 years or older would have to give a half shekel, and that would be for the Lord, and that would be for atonement. And David didn't do that. And then also David was more concerned about just counting those people in the military, okay? Because he was basically puffing himself up in his own ability and might with his army, and forgetting that God was his strength and was his might, not how many people that he could brag about being in his army and his military. So for this, God throws a plague on them for 3 days, and 70,000 died at that point. And David is basically on his deathbed. In fact, he probably really was on his deathbed, and God probably extended his life at that point. That could be read that way. And so this is a background for this psalm. And this is after God has restored him. I will exalt you, Lord, for you lifted me out of the depths and did not let my enemies gloat over me. Lord my God, I called to you for help, and you healed me. You, Lord, brought me up from the realm of the dead. You spared me from going down into the pit. Sing the praises of the Lord, you, his faithful people. Praise his holy name, for his anger lasts only a moment, but his favor lasts a lifetime. Weeping may stay for the night, but rejoicing comes in the morning. There's a lot of takeaways in this short reading here. And it goes on. This is just the first 5 verses of that 30th Psalm. It's all wonderful. But I want to focus on these. So first of all, we see that God has power to heal and to rescue us from difficult situations. It shows that if we have faith and trust in God's healing power, that's when we can receive. It shows that there needs to be gratitude for what God has done for you. If God heals you and he rescues you from your distress, he's given you victory over your enemies, thank him. Don't just take the money and run, so to say. Be thankful, be gracious to God for what he's done, as David has shown here in this. It shows God's faithfulness and his presence at all times, in both times of joy and in times of sorrow. You know, we see him in the good times, and then in times of sorrow, we seem to think that we're just victims. But we're not victims, because he can give us victory over our enemies. And that's his desire. God's discipline is only temporary. It's not what he likes to dwell on. He dwells on his love. That's what he focuses for us. But he does have righteous justice. There are actions that need to be taken to discipline us. Because of his love for us, he disciplines us. But he really wants to spend more of his time showing his love, mercy to us. And then God is involved in all aspects of our life, in distress and in times of joy. And so I think this is very, very rich, this 30th Psalm. And it applies not just to David, it applies to each one of us. Because he, like we, are just people. And we all have the same things, just with different names, different problems, different events. But we all have our ups and downs. Know that God is there, and he's there for us. Bless the reading of his word.